Hello, everyone. Welcome, 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 welcome. Yeah, I'm in a new location. I'm moving house, moving homes, and this new house is right by the church. So the church bell's just chiming 12. So my cue to start the call. So hello to everyone. Let's just come across the screens and see who we've got. Just give us a bit of a wave. Good to see so many of you on. And yeah, so, all right. Now, I haven't, because I'm sort of on location, I don't have any of the kit and caboodle to do bell ringing or invocations. And so I'm just going to go straight into the call. And to be quite honest, because I've been so focused on moving, I've kind of taken my attention off what's going on in the world. Was it last weekend? I think it was last weekend that we did the march in London, which was incredible and amazing. And I don't think I've ever felt so safe in central London before. It was so well worth doing it. However, I'm kind of in the place of feeling that actually our best demonstration is simply just to mass non-compliance, as opposed to the occasional march. I mean, it's great to do those marches, don't get me wrong, and it was amazing. But I think just non-compliance with any of it is really the way forward. But anyway, I'd be interested to hear your views and to get your updates and what's going on in your world. So if anyone would like to come on the call, please give a wave. Roseanne, let's come to you first. Okay, I'll go to speaker view so we can get you nice and loud.
Thank you, Rachel.
Hey, Roseanne, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just want to say I'm really excited. I wanted to tell everybody that I feel like I'm doing something like some action, because I'm helping Dan Aston Gregory and his team to organize a Question Everything Lockdown Summit in London on the 17th of July. And there are very few in-person places. But Rachel, we've sent you an invite because we'd like you to attend in person if you can, as an influential person.
Ah, nice, thank you.
So if not, you can always see it live stream. But I've put in I think I sent it on Sunday, I put in the subject line, guest, in capital letters.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because you had an option for speaker in capital letters, but we just would like you to attend if you can, and everybody else can attend for free. I've put the link in the chat, and
okay.
So that should be good. It's an academic summit. It's Dan Aston Gregory is getting together influential speakers and academics, and he's trying not to give it he's trying to make it accessible for people who are not like us, like sort of the mainstream.
Yes.
And media who come will report on it, but we're not sure. We're not even sure if the mainstream media will come. The alternative media probably will. So so the spin that he's trying to give it is a different angle. It's sort of a mainstream angle, but he's trying to get like virologists, doctors, psychologists. But if you guys go to the website and register, he'll send you the program as it stands now.
Cool. Okay, Roseanne, great. Yeah, I'm his guest, Dan Aston Gregory's guest tomorrow at 5 on his podcast.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm going to be doing that. So it'd be interesting to be part of that event if I can make it to London, because I'm not often there. But that's great to know, and thank you for inviting me. And yeah, no, it's actually great to go to an event and not be a speaker, because you can enjoy it a lot more if you don't have to, if you know that you don't have to get up on stage and say anything or speak. So that's wonderful. Thank you.
Very good.
Yes. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because Boris, I just read randomly that Boris is they're definitely going to lift lockdown on the 21st of July. But whether that's just a carrot dangle, who knows? Whether they're at the last minute are going to say, oh, the new Lambda. I read about this new Lambda variant, and they're just taking the piss now, because the Delta variant, dream sleep Delta, and now the Lambda, like as in sheepda. You know, it's like they're getting so obvious. They're just playing with people. It's just, it really feels very like almost like a psychopath. You know, it's just like they're seeing how far they can push it, and people will keep on believing it. It's almost like a mass social experiment at this point. So that's my feeling. Okay, Roseanne, sorry, thank you. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for opening up. And who would like to come on next? Let's come to Orgon Box, and then we'll come to Helen. So if you put your yellow hand up, which is in the reactions, that's a good way to get my attention, because you get to the top of the screen. So let's come to Orgon Box. Hi.
Hiya.
Hello.
First thing I want to say is, I don't think it's an apology for how I was the last time I got the opportunity to speak. I think most of you realise I was pretty peeved off with quite a lot, and justifiably so, I know. But anyway, since then, you guys have been fabulous, because I put a hand out, didn't I? I think it was last time we were online, to say that I'm in Sheffield and I can't find anybody. And plenty of you guys sent me some links, and I had a mission yesterday that I was desperately going to find people who were on the same page, and I did. And I found it in the park, which is literally right behind me. You can't see because of the sun coming in, but a bit like yourself, Rich, I've got all that greenery behind me and couldn't find anyone. It's like, where are you all hiding? Anyway, the beautiful thing was I managed to meet up with 2 groups yesterday to stand in the park. Made me absolutely so welcome. They all have dogs, most of them. That's why I didn't know where they were, because I just thought they were people walking dogs. And a lot of them have their kids with them, which is fantastic. And ironically, and I was honest with them all yesterday, I don't do dogs and I don't do kids. So this is a big new learning curve for me, to be with a group of wonderful people who have the dogs and their kids in tow, which is great, because it's, you know, they just embrace me. Yeah. I felt so fabulous. My partner, who's chronic ME, he managed to crawl his way down there. And it was a really great, I mean, he's shattered now. He's probably going to be on his back for about a week. But I just wanted to put that out there and say thank you to all of you. And thank you to you, Rachel, because obviously I wouldn't have got these links unless I'd have, you know, snobbedly actually seen your profile and thought, she knows what she's talking about. I'm going to have a listen. And thank God you've proven me right. You do know what you're talking about, and I am listening. And it's just been fantastic. And I just want to say a big thank you to all of you. So that's how I wanted just to start it. So I'm my usual self, pretty up and whatever else, with a big gob, but loving life as I ought to be. And I want you guys to feel that too. So to all of you.
Cool. And your stand in the park, were they wearing yellow?
Yeah, there was quite a few wearing yellow. The symbol for daffodils, I believe, is it?
Yeah. So
dandelions, dandelions. A lot of the logos had dandelions and things. So now I understand what the yellow is all about, because now visually I've got a better understanding of that, for certainly for good health and things of that nature also. So there's a lot of, you know, they were oozing with, it wasn't, and what I thought might happen is people were going to be bombarding me with stuff, and actually they weren't. It was more about embracing. It was, and I done the normal thing, which would be in my normal practice. I shook hands, and within the seconds of actually putting my hand out, it was like, give us a hug. And it was like, oh my God, these are normal people. Or as we used to say in Liverpool, proper people. Just round of proper people. So it was fabulous. And yet a lot of them had, I will put lemon on or yellow next time. So I didn't know what it actually meant.
I'm
so
just mentioning that because that's the visual communication for the group. So because they don't have signage and they're just literally standing in the park. But the fact that it's a group wearing yellow is how you recognize, because it's quite low key in that sense.
And you know what's ironic about it? A lot of this stuff that we're saying, aren't we, it's in plain sight. And maybe my mentality was, I was looking for this like coercion, group that will be hiding behind someone to be frightened, but they were in plain sight. I couldn't see them. Which kind of marries up with a lot of the stuff that's happening, for us now. It's in plain sight. We've just got to get that periphery back and not, tunnel in, which as most of us will know, that's just going to pull us down. And actually so much more to see that it was like, wow, I just felt, I don't know how to express it. Probably my face says it all really rather than my words. So big thank you to all of you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and sharing that. And Debbie Williams says, we say, if you've not got yellow, carry a banana. So
hey, I'm just trying to stuff one down my face. So I will do,
Cool. Okay, thanks for coming on. That's great.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for letting me. Cheers.
Yeah. Okay, let's come to Helen and then we'll come to Derek. Hi, Helen.
Hello, Rachel. Lovely to see you. I wanted to say thank you for sharing the video of MJ working with the toad channel, because I've seen a lot of friends work with that medicine and they all come back with the same message, that we are God, we are creating everything, and that everything is essentially made out of love. And that can feel very far removed from our current reality. And yet what I keep being told is that no matter, and I can feel the tension of what's going on, is that especially us who have been awake for a little while, whether that be 9 months, 9 years, 19 years, is to keep on reminding people as they come into the trauma of waking up, is that we aren't awake in order for it to end. We're awake in order to build a new way, because the suicide, the level of people leaving the planet at the moment is really strong. And I think as difficult as it is for us to, because you go through that phase of trying to want to learn everything and things are moving so quickly, but that can keep us really stuck in our trauma and really stuck in a new rat race of wanting to be like, have our minds satiated. And I think sometimes we miss the energy of needing to stay in high vibration and needing as much as we can, allow ourselves the time to like sob on the carpet, but then to keep coming back to what we enjoy about being alive now, rather than the future when we're free.
Yes.
And this loop, because I think this portal we're in between the solstice 7/7 on Wednesday and then the Lion's Gate on the 8th of August, it's an absolute deluge of light coming to the planet. And the more we can, the higher frequency we allow ourselves to get into, the more of that light we can absorb and funnel out into the grid to help ease the pain of everybody as and when they awaken, especially people who I know who are awakening after having the first one and then realizing what they've done to themselves. So I just wanted to share, and it's a struggle for me, but this sort of, find out what's going on, but don't allow yourself to get swept up in the, fear of it all. Yeah.
So yes, it was nice to see that video of MJ, because he, that's not the first time he's done Bufo, but the first time he did it, I saw a video of it, and it was like a rebirth for him the first time he did it, and it was massively healing for me to watch the video. Because it was quite a traumatic birth. His birth, that was my first baby, and it was quite a traumatic birth. So when he was reborn in the Bufo, it was like I healed the trauma of the birth, if you get my drift. So it was really, really powerful, and I could feel like, I had a whole emotional purge. So that was really sweet. But the fact that he also did it again, and I had a huge trauma release as well randomly yesterday, which I wasn't expecting. So I knew that something had shifted, and then I saw the video. So it's like when he does deep work, there's something in me that unlocks, because obviously he's my son. So it's really interesting, the way it works. This healing, it's like we're healing for it. When we shift energy, it ripples out to so many people.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Really, thank you for sharing that. I'm really conscious of my traumas and things surfacing as everything feels quite intense, and just knowing that I can take personal responsibility for what I do. I can't solve all of that, but the more that I focus on.
Yes. And being in the now moment and just being in nature. This is the really helpful thing about having Kobe, the dog, because he wants his walk every morning. And so just getting out into nature and going down to the river and walking in the park and being in the forest, and also moving to this house where the bell is ringing every quarter of an hour, it chimes, and then obviously on the hour. It's just like this, it's constantly aligning the grid, the energy, the grid here, the chi is just so beautiful. So yeah. Nick is asking, what video are you talking about? Blue off. It's actually Bufo, B-U-F-O, and it's basically it's a toad. Is it a poison, Helen, or a peptide that you smoke, and it's like an instant, you shoot through the veil? I think I've never done it. It terrifies me, the thought of doing it.
Yeah, I would say if anyone's interested, just you have to do it with a really top shaman. It's not something people should be doing in their living rooms, because you can go so far, you don't come back. So
yes.
Yeah,
that's one for the bucket list, I think, at some point when I'm brave enough. And I love the way you're sitting there with your sort of halo on, Helen. It's beautiful.
Thank
you. Lots of love to you. Thanks for coming on.
Love, Rachel. Thank you.
Okay, let's mute you back. And I'm going to come to Derek as promised, and then maybe to Shelley and Fleur, who got their hand up. Sass wants to speak. Hi, Sass. That's great. Peter wants to speak. Let's come to Derek next. And
well, can you hear me?
Hi, Derek.
Hello. It's my first time on, so
welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I've been going protesting since 2020, really. I think about halfway through. Oh no, it's later than that, because I went to the first day with like one. I went up to London. I've gone up to London several times, and you've probably read about this, but I was on the coach that went up, and all the cops got on board the coach, and
oh wow,
17 of them got on board our coach, and accosted us all, and I've also got the website lockdownunite.com. I don't know if you've seen it or not. I've been posting a bit on the Telegram channels, so that kind of started out. I wanted to write about all of this, and I kind of came up with the name Coachman for a book, and I started writing about it, but I thought, well, hang on a moment, this isn't really helping the situation. I could spend the next year or so, or a couple of years, writing about it all, but it's not really helping. So I came up with the idea of doing the website and selling some t-shirts as well. So, but yeah, that's basically my background. And I also wonder what else they're trying to tell us with this Lambda variant, because Lambda is actually wavelength in the formula for, I think it's for, yeah, it's a formula for wavelength. So basically it's velocity of a wave over frequency. So it's like airborne sort of thing. What else are they trying to tell us? I don't know if I should be reading into that or not, but it's just interesting. I find that out of the Greek alphabet, they're just picking sort of letters at random, like Y delta, Y lambda. So I wonder what else is going on about, really, you know, kind of interesting.
Oh, I see. Okay. No, I just saw that and I immediately thought delta meaning sleep and lamb meaning sheep. It's almost like an insult. It's sort of like.
It's a good one. I never thought of that. I never thought of sheep. I never thought that. But I immediately, sort of having a scientific mind, I immediately came to the sort of scientific use of the Lambo. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, Derek. So maybe put some links to everything you've said and how people can get in touch with you in the chat, because the chat log goes out after the call. Hopefully I'll be a bit more on the ball this week and send it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, really. I thought I'd come on because it'd be nice to get some more members on my site. So it's a fully sort of social media site. Basically, the idea is to share information without censorship, but it is on Facebook, YouTube, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So I'll put the link in the chat.
Yeah, cool. And then people can join you and boost your numbers a bit. But actually, one of the things I'm saying with my Yulgrave community support group, which we're going to rename, but we haven't decided yet, there's actually a real beauty in small groups. I mean, I really feel the power of the group, the local community support group we've created, because there's a core of probably half a dozen people, and it really is like, feels really rock solid and really there for one another. So it doesn't, I don't think you necessarily, this idea, it's got to be big, you've got to have numbers, it's not true. Small groups are extremely powerful. Just want to mention that. Anyway, lots of love to you, Derek.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thanks for coming on. Okay. Right. So who's next? Shelley, and then Fleur, and then Peter, and then Sass. Let's do it like that. Hey, Shelley.
Hello. There. Hi, everybody. Oh,
Hi.
It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on, guys. Oh, Rachel, you're amazing. So just volumes of respect and inspiration and energy to you, and keep going, you know, like whatever ways you do it, however you choose to do your thing, you know, totally support you.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to say about the gathering in London, you know, the energy was fantastic, and hundreds of thousands of people, just hundreds of thousands of people feeling the same, love, passive, do not consent, this is bullshit, you know, let's get together and just stand together in truth and actually in so much joy. I was there for both days, never want to leave the party, but anyway. And the thing is that I just want to say how that was reported to many people in the world was sort of nothing, and loads of people don't even know it happened. We're already living in different worlds. This isn't something that we're going to be shifting, and it's already people are living in very different worlds on this planet. But I just also feel like, you know, the whole thing, watch your own words, you know, the zeitgeist of like, oh, well, there goes the summer. Oh, well, best get our jumpers out. Just be careful that you don't slip into this narrative of bullshit. I mean, Conversations with God many years ago wrote, you know, when we realize we control the weather with our consciousness, we'll be starting to get somewhere. But there's so many easy ways to manipulate the weather. Are you buying these clouds? Nondescript, flat blanket sheet of nothingness. The sun's beaming down and there's insipid little rain. Whether it is or it isn't, this is not normal. I know that it's meant to be sunshine because there's so much power coming to this planet right now. All we need to do is align, even if it's just by the intention, but even a bit more than just the intention. You know, the first relationship on this planet that, you know, in this paradigm is the consciousness and the physical body. You know, this is the romance of our lifetime, to really discover how this consciousness moves into this physical realm through this first beautiful relationship. This is the love affair. So we're looking for the other one, and yet we are the other one. And then we realize that we're all the other one, and oh, there's the answer, one. Answer to every question. It's so easy, really. Anyway, but the thing is that please don't forget, right, that this is the opportunity now to seize the day of know thyself, because everything that's coming to you or through you or, you know, with you in this experience, it's the you and the awareness that's the first and foremost. So don't forget to stretch your body, guys. Like literally, you know, I hear everybody just saying, oh, I can't, or it's too tight, or it hurts. everybody hurts, aches and can't do it. That's just, don't worry about that. We step into something thinking we have to know it already or be good at it already. It really, really doesn't matter. Just take away that and start to move. If you like a bit of music, just let yourself move. Please don't forget, move and breathe more deeply and just start to experience this first world before we even step out into the circus. You know, it's really, really key, because we actually are the key. And after all this time through our real history, you know, what we found out way back when, you know, the Nile is the spine and it has this initiate path. And, you know, we realized that this is the key, the human body, the energetic body, and the nature of who we are is the cosmic gateway. You know, we can connect to the galactic family. It's all there, but we're just walking around going, I don't think I can. I can't switch to I practice. Just take out I can't and just start to practice everything again. And just start today. Forget about everything else. Just start today and get reborn with this romance, okay? Because this energy is your wellspring. Everyone has it. And it's to take out this I can't, I haven't got enough energy. Watch those words, their spells, they're creating your reality and you're reaffirming yourself. So I'm talking to, you already know everything I'm saying, but consider this a boot up the horse to doing, because saying is lovely, but doing, put that action in. You are the great divine source experiencing itself. That's it.
Yeah.
So just make it fun. Look for the joy, because when you look for lack, it's everywhere. This place is booked, but you look for the love, and literally it's just rain in love, man. And that rain rains like a Taurus.
Yeah.
Out, within and around. There is no separation. So yeah, that's sort of what I wanted to say. Be you, exactly you, and just keep discovering what that means. And all I can say is love and never give up. Booyah!
Oh, thanks, Shelley. Thanks for that. That's a really wonderful, wonderful share of like just bringing us back to the center and the realization that, yeah, it's all within. Yeah. Cool. Okay, lots of love. I'm going to come to Fleur next, as promised, then Peter, then Sass.
Hi, Rachel. Can you hear me?
Hi, Fleur.
Hi there. So this is my it's my second time on, but my first time speaking. It's really nice to be with you all. And I want to say thank you so much to you, Rachel, for running this group. It's been a tremendous support for me. And I wanted to share some of my thoughts with you. I'm a therapist. I'm a psychoneuroimmunologist, which is a bit of a mouthful, but basically I look after the immune system, and I use food and exercise and psychosocial techniques, etc., to help people move forwards. And I always say to clients, I'm backed. Everything I say, I back with science, but sometimes I use my intuition. And if I'm using my intuition, I'll tell you that. And I think intuition is, as we all know, very powerful, and yet we are persuaded that it's not valid at all, that everything has to be grounded in science. And I think what people forget is actually that science is an art, and you get your own particular impression from it. And yet I'm hearing the word cult quite often at the moment, the cult of COVID. I think we're in the cult of science, as if there is one particular strand of truth, the science as promoted by our governments and by SAGE, etc. And as we know, that's absolutely not true. And you know, alarm bells for me last year, because I work with the immune system, I work with how our emotional experiences are linked up and manifest as ill health. And last year when I started noticing the coercion, to me, it was a message to me that what was going on was absolutely not right, because from my perspective, fear upregulates the immune system and produces inflammation, and then we can't fight an infection at all. So
yeah.
And another reason I wanted to come on today was because of my personal need to speak out. I'm a doctor's daughter. My father was a GP, and he had gone into the war as a young man, newly qualified at the end of the war, and he'd helped liberate Neuengamme Gamma concentration camp, and also Belsen, and he was haunted, of course, by everything he saw. And I remember as a little girl being at a party, and he'd met a lady who was from Dachau, and he said to her, he said, "Didn't you know what was going on? And if you did, why didn't you speak out?" And she said, "We knew what was going on, but we just buried our heads in the sand." So for me personally, it is important that I am speaking out about this, because what's happening with this experimental genetic engineering on our bodies is wrong, and we're not being given a choice. And I think people are very afraid to speak out. Many of the professionals are afraid to speak out, and it's important as a professional to do so. And once I've been horrified by the silence of my friends and their lack of willingness to have a conversation with me. And I know it's based on fear, and I've been horrified by mainstream media and the line they've promoted and the way they've censored our ability to talk about life-saving treatments like vitamin C, vitamin D, but also, of course, ivermectin. So that's been my personal and professional experience of everything. And I think also it's always about thinking about solutions. Like you say, there's beauty in small groups, and it's about raising love, as Shelley said. And I've been to all the marches, and they've been beautiful because you're just sharing that energy with everyone else. And I think that taking action doesn't have to be aggressively, it's just feeling that you're contributing to this can be very healing. So thank you very much for letting me speak. It's
Thanks,
great
Fleur.
to be here.
Thank you for that wisdom. That's really beautiful, really beautiful. And thank you for speaking out. Okay. I'm going to, I accidentally lowered Peter's hand, so I'm going to have to try and find him now because he's disappeared from the screen. So Peter, if you want to speak, I need to ask you to unmute. So Peter, are you there? We've got 77 people on now. Magical number. Oh, there you are, Peter. Thank you. Got to you in the end, and then we'll come to Sass next.
Hello, are we there? Right.
Yeah, let me put it on speaker for you. There we go. Cool.
All right. Hello, everybody. How are you? Okay. I hope you're having a lovely day. And the day is lovely. The sun is shining, even though you've got clouds underneath it. The sun still shines. It's in your body that takes the vibes. I'll tell you a little about myself. I got regressed a bit some time ago, and the regression was amazing. What came of that regression when we came to my higher self was that I found that I am a guardian of the light that has been sent to this earth for this specific time. I am a leader of the galactic light warriors, which I sensed this all through my life as a little boy. I knew there was something coming up, but I am in constant watch over the earth as my higher self, and I project love wherever possible. That is the thing. I looked down when I was being regressed, and I saw cracks in the earth where the earth needed to be mended by love. And it was the negative more coming through than the positive. Because just as the lady said before, the media with the negative elites have managed to corrupt people's fear into believing that we are on a downward spiral. We are not on a downward spiral. We are nothing about it at all. The virus is this, they're projecting is a fear virus, which is going to be kicked in. Obviously, it's also technology is coming into that, because I listen to Elon Musk quite a lot, and the man contradicts himself so much, it's unbelievable. But we talk about AI a lot, Elon, and the thing is, this 5G, when this kicks in, and I've got the military, friends in the military have told me this, be very aware when they up it, because there's new pylons going up at the moment, there's new masts going up, and they've got like these they're like this, these masts, they're all ticketed in it. They are the brand new mast that is going up. They're going to eject 60 gigahertz out into the community. And if your immune system isn't up to scratch, which is what we need to get sorted, we could start to drop down. Now, I don't want to be negative on that, but we need to get the immune system up. And I think Fleur Bravali talks about that, and that is very, very important. Yesterday, I was with friends. These friends came to my father's funeral. I can remember I told you about my father a bit ago. He passed away in hospital, and I was told I would never ever go, I could never go and see my dad because it was times of COVID, even though Dad had dementia. I found out by friends of theirs that a lady had passed away recently, and her daughter was allowed to go and see her since January in hospital because she had dementia. I was stopped, and that really is annoying me. But I do feel that powers seem to know other powers that are around, and they suppress them, and they suppressed me at the time from going to see my dad. I knew my dad would have come through it if he'd have saw me, because I would have brought him on. We connect really well. Anyway, that is gone. I can't do anything about that now, but I will, and I promised him on his dying death that I will take his situation and others of the elderly who are being literally traumatized in our hospitals by the doctors, not the nurses. The nurses can got so much power, and then they are told to, oh, she'll get suspended and your pension frozen. That is what they're going out. So we're trying to get the whistleblowers coming through the nurses now. And it's going to work. It's going to start to work, especially when we get the message out that there weren't just a few thousand in London. There was 2 million people in London the other weekend.
Yeah,
and
it was
again,
massive.
corrupt Freemasonic system of the media is trying to suppress it. They are on the last leg of the Freemasons. They are falling, and they will fall on their own sword. Hancock fell on his own sword. It's just they're starting to fall, and believe me, that's the positiveness we must push out. They will fall, even though you might think, oh, it's very sad to wish grief on people. Not everybody, it's not. I mean, if you could say, well, poor Adolf Hitler, bless him, he's not a bad bloke really, but you've got to keep that positiveness of yourselves. That is the weapon we have. Our positiveness is together, we can bring them down. It's not being negative toward them, it's being positive for the rest of the people around us. That's the main thing to do. Cool. It's just, we're in an amazing situation. We've got to believe in ourselves, and that is the thing. We've got to believe in ourselves and come together now.
Cool. Thank you, Peter. Thank you for coming on. And I absolutely agree that the consciousness is rising, and so many people are doing this work, this healing and this raising the vibration, raising the consciousness. So it's like they're desperately trying to pull it back down through fear and throwing every last thing at it. But it's just like it's so strong now, and that wave, like the march, it's just that mass of people coming together at that power center, and that's why I really believe that they've boarded off Trafalgar Square, because that is the joining point of all the ley lines that run to St. Paul's and Buckingham Palace and Whitehall, Houses of Parliament. Trafalgar Square is a real hub of ley lines, and it's like they've boarded it off. Really interesting, because London is, you know, the energy of London. That's why London became so powerful over the years in the British Empire, because it literally is a power hub. So they are definitely using the metaphysical ley lines and, you know, to hold on to that power. But it's like we're feeding it with energy of light, those ley lines. Anyway, I'm going off, diverging here, but okay, lots of love, Peter. Thanks for coming on. And I'm going to come to Sass next. And then we'll come to John and Lady Faye and then Stephen. That might be all we've got enough time for, depending on how long everyone takes. But Sass, let's come to you.
Hello, hi Rachel, how are you doing? Did you enjoy your march? It looked like
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I was nervous about it, and I actually went to Trafalgar Square ahead of time, and I went into Pret-a-Manger, and there was a big police van that had parked outside Pret-a-Manger, and all of the policemen went into Pret-a-Manger to get a sandwich and a coffee, and they were fully in body armor with the tasers and the batons, and it looked, and I could feel my adrenaline response, like, whoa. Is this going to be safe? Am I going to be arrested? Are we going to be attacked? And I could feel the fear that is created just through the vision, the visual impact of police these days. You know, they look lethal. They deliberately changed the uniform to make them so super scary. And so I could feel this contraction of fear. And I thought, no, I have to just breathe into that and just stay in the light. Anyway.
Well done you for overcoming your fears, because I was the same. But when I went, it was you saw the sort of the fear being ramped up, especially at the end. If you hang around at the end, they go in for the kill because it's thinning out and they feel they can attack and go for certain people. But it's all frequency, and obviously it's all about bringing in the love energy, which is so strong at the moment. I haven't been able to come on here for a couple of weeks because I've been guided to different places around the country. So I've been to Stratford-upon-Avon. I then went up to the Lake District there, then went up to the Highlands of Scotland to Glencoe, and then I just come back from Hebden Bridge. And these are all areas that feed into these major ley lines you're talking about that end up in Trafalgar Square. And I was there in 2000. I'd been given a job to do, which was the most ridiculous story, which I haven't written yet, which I will do. But I ended up having to go to find 12 portals around the city of London, where all these ley lines, there were basically churches sitting on them, most of them.
Yes.
And one of them was actually, the central point was actually in Regent's Park, and we ended up right in the middle of the theatre in the middle of the night. So we were doing all this work, and it's been going on for a long, long time. I mean, I started in 1990 working for a magazine in London called Catalyst, and it was about listing all the places that were doing alternative awareness, from Kundalini yoga to flotation tanks. And in the 90s, it was all quite sort of new, but I got to experience all these things. I had to write up articles about them. So that's where my work all started, but then it's become more and more about frequency. So it's just a message really to say to everybody, even though it feels, when you look at the news and you look at people wearing their masks and all the other things that are horrendous going on around us to bring in that mind virus of total fear. On the other hand, I've seen this tremendous wave building from the 90s, and the places I've been sent to do the work, and everybody is here to do the work. It's not just individual people that have been chosen. It's, do you choose yourself to be that conduit for this divine energy coming through? Because especially the feminine energy. So the men are finding it is quite overwhelming with this feminine energy moving through you. But my whole theme has been about water. So it was amazing. I was floating down down the River Avon, sounding and doing all sorts of things while my two vaccinated friends were doing all the rowing of the boat. It was quite a bizarre scene, but it was as if I was in this water. It's like it's been asked to be cleansed or to put in new memories or new thinking and new thoughts, because of course the water holds all the energy and all the memories.
Yes.
So it's like using the water of all the old stuff to make way for the new flushing that's coming. And I was really interesting. So I was the 21st, obviously, when you were, the 21st is the summer solstice. And I kind of felt like torn because I've been asked to go to Scotland. And I kept thinking all these people are relying on me to do this ceremony. And then a little voice said, well, just see if they can do it by themselves, because if one person isn't available, is everything going to collapse? We've got to spread it amongst ourselves and step into that, step up into our power, which we all have. So, and I went up to the Lake District to collect my sister, who was doing a coast to coast walk. And she said, oh, please come up. I've got a really strong feeling we need to go up to Glencoe in Scotland and be there for the 21st. Anyway, there was nowhere to be had, but we found this amazing little bothy, it's called, in the middle of the forest, surrounded by incredible trees, and the energy was just amazing. But of course, then we find out that Glencoe was the seat of a massacre, where the MacDonald clan were massacred because they were in allegiance to I think it was King William at the time. So he sent in all these soldiers into Glencoe because they were like a stronghold of dissidents that wouldn't be brought down by the wicked king of the time. And they sent, the king sent all his soldiers. And in those days, all the local people, as soldiers came into town or into the co, wherever you were, you had to look after them and feed them and protect them and provide for them. And of course, they actually were there in the end to kill every last member of this clan. So literally, this place is absolutely amazing. If anyone's been to Glencoe in the Highlands, it's absolutely it's like being on another planet. As you come, you suddenly hit these massive mountains, and you're sort of going through where this volcanic eruption has sort of created a pathway through the mountains. And it's spectacular energy. But I felt like you with the march, I suddenly felt this huge amount of fear come up. It's like, oh, I'm driving into this area. Why is all this energy coming up? It's really, really scary. It feels really fearful. I said to my sister, I don't know what's going on. I feel really scared. And she said, well, maybe it's because there was a massacre here. Maybe we're coming back to clear the pathways. So we ended up doing lots of energetic work. We were called all over the place, all these rivers and mountains. And it was just incredible. And it was just two of us. Normally I have maybe 30, 40 people at a ceremony. There was just two of us. But we just clicked in and we started doing all this energy work with our hands. And I'm just saying, no one told me what to do. I didn't have a map of saying, right, if you can just go here and do this and do that. It's just about following your inclination, following that side of you, that divine guidance, which is guiding you. And it's just so powerful. And you wouldn't realize that all this other stuff's going on because you're in the nature, you're connected to yourself, connected to the divine. It was just absolutely beautiful. And then I was brought down to Lake Coniston. Also, we drove down to there on the 21st after we'd done all this other work, and had this beautiful ceremony on this beautiful lake. And we were just sounding out. We were doing all this weaving and energetic work, which seemed to have a massive, powerful effect on all the ducks on the lake. Every single came and just hovered, and they were going quacking, and they were just sort of joining in, and it was just so beautiful to be a part of that nature. And then finally went over to Hebden Bridge yesterday to do on the guise of doing a sound journey for a group of people. But I ended up being on top of this hill, and all of a sudden just this energy moved through, and it was just being sent out to the whole of this area. And it was just a beautiful, and everyone just sort of, I don't know, it's just this amazing connection that when you have a group of people and you're there with an intention, it just absolutely, you don't have any control over what's happening. It's just you're being utilized, divine energy. Anyway, went to the actual village next day, and I've never experienced a deluge like it. There was a monsoon happening in Hebden Bridge in Yorkshire. For over an hour, and everyone was hiding. I was hiding under a tree, but actually had no protection whatsoever. My little Chihuahua dog was shivering, and everyone was like rushing for any place they could go, but there was no place to hide because it was just such torrential rain.
Yes.
And then everyone hid in this passageway, and that started to fill up with water. And I realized it was called Watergate, so probably not the best place to stand. There was just this whole cleansing going on everywhere, and it's happening again today. But it's just what I'm trying to say to everybody is that every single one of you can be, and all those listening who haven't heard this yet, is that you're being called now to step into your divine place of whatever it is that you can do, whether you can speak out and stand in the park, whether you can share a message with somebody. We're all being used and asked to be utilized. And you wouldn't realize this world's going on, that the other world, the vast world. And of course, ramp up that because the energy behind these figures that we see in our everyday kind of world on the TV, the energy behind them is withdrawn. It's gone. The shadow energy has gone off the planet. It's had to leave. It had to start leaving on the 2012 the 21st. That was the deadline. And so the energy started withdrawing. And so it's like being on the moon and you're an astronaut, and all of a sudden you lose contact with Houston. You've got no direction. You're completely lost. And that's what it's to humanity, is that connection to our divine guidance has been severed in some way, or the loop has been twisted. The pipe that we connects us energetically, and it's now reforming, and all our DNA and structures are reforming. So there's a lot going on, and all I'm saying is gather together. But even just you on your own has this amazing power to shift and cleanse the earth. So go forth and do whatever feels good for you.
Thanks, Sass. Please do put a link to you in the chat, because people are asking, because they want to know more about what you're sharing. I know you don't have I don't think you have a website, do you? But anyway, maybe your Facebook or something.
I literally show people how to use sound to clear their body and clear energy in their space, whatever it may be. So everyone can do it, and that's what my plan is put people through this training. It's only about 6 weeks. So
put a link to that, maybe, Sass, so people can get to know you a bit better.
Okay, lots of love. Thank you for I'm sorry if I've taken up too much time.
No, that's fine. Lots of love. Thanks for coming on. Cool. Right, so let's come to John, Lady Fate, and Stephen, and we've got 9 minutes left, so maybe 3 minutes each, if that's okay. I think, and then that will take us up to 1 o'clock.
Can you hear me?
Hey, hi, John.
Hello, goddess, all you goddesses and gods out there shining the light. Keep it going. Really great to follow you on there, Sass, The Power of Water, Dr. Emoto. Just go onto YouTube. Unbelievable, The Power of Water and the ether, which is what I work with. But anyway, why I wanted to talk here, seems to be going on, and what you talked about there is in the togetherness. And the problem we've got at the moment is obviously the separation. And I've sort of mentioned it before, and this is where we've got to try and avoid adding to that separation and watch our words, I think. Because we are the awake. I mean, straight away, that's quite, looking at ourselves quite pious, aren't we? Even though we do know. And that begs the question, why are so many can see it and why so many can't? Because there's nothing at all to do with intelligence in any way, shape or form. And we know obviously the susceptibility of some people to be brainwashed and that, it's just beyond me. But I think what we have to do is be aware, really, that we don't add to and go into the game by keep sort of looking at ourselves at this, we're better than you because we're awake and you're not. What we have to be really is, shall we say, sympathetic, understanding, and be aware more than anything that a lot of these people, are now starting to realize something, okay? And ourselves, I spoke about this before, we've probably gone through the stages of grief and loss, because loss is the loss of what we thought the world was, what we thought our place was, that phenomenological concept of our place in the world around us. So we have to really sort of stop on our tracks a little bit and give ourselves a little bit of a head wobble and say, let's not get caught up in this. Facebook now wanting to, snitch, snitch on anyone who's giving false information, Well, what they mean is the different information than what they're trying to keep on feeding. And of course, you're absolutely right. They are worried now. They know it's falling. But let's be there for the people who suddenly awake. Like recently, only last week, I woke up on a Facebook page here in Liverpool. We've got a lot of connective yoga people, doing classes, retreat, really, and none of them are really, well, the majority of them are into being jabbed. And what are you talking about? The virus is real, and I've been alienated, which I accept. That's not a problem, I'm accepting, as you know, that's my favorite word, Rachel, acceptance and to what's going on around us. But one lady, oh my God, the healthiest looking young woman, yoga, that you could have a picture of health. and it's not been said, but I'm sure she's been jabbed.
Yeah.
Because this other person who is a closer friend to me, if you like, you know, an associate, if you like, you know, who is, you know, going, oh, what's to do with you, you bloody, you know, basically looking at me and other people as tin hats and all the, you know, tin hat foil workers and all that, all for the jab and all that, suddenly comes on post this death of this person, you know, for no apparent reason. You know, said I've been banned off Twitter for calling Hancock a murdering bastard. Well, of course she's going to get hanged up.
Yeah.
But there you go.
John, complete now, please, because we've got 2 more people and I have to close this call at 1. And you've already had 4 minutes.
And all I'm saying is that people are still waking up. Let's be compassionate. Let's be there for them to go through their awakening.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. I'm going to come to Lady Faye next, and then we'll end with Stephen. Just, I have to go at 1 because I've got a BT engineer coming to fix my broadband. Okay. Lady Faye.
Yes, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Okay, right. Technology. The main thing, there's lots I would love to share with you all, but the main thing is a very joyous thing I want to share with you, full of life and hope. It's a piece of artwork that I'm doing. I have tried to share it in the chat as a link, but I don't know if I succeeded. So I'll show you this brief little sketch of what I'm doing. It's a very big artwork,
yes.
showing many birds flying free from their ruined prisons at the bottom of the artwork.
Nice.
There's a big history, a personal history for me with this, which I won't tell you, obviously we haven't got time. But the metaphor obviously is for us in lockdown, and the message I feel of it is that, and it's been coming through from several people here, that we can all do in our own ways things that we've got talents for, to fly free, even though it's a lockdown happening. We can still act in ways that are free. So, for instance, I've made this massive artwork. It stands 8 foot tall, 8 foot wide. I'm just going to be able to get it to the park, and and I'm saying, you know, look, I can do this. I'm free to do this. This is exciting. This is joyous, and you can't stop me.
Yeah, cool.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
wonderful. Thank you, Lady Faye. Great, and please do show us that artwork. And if you share it with me, I'll share it on Rachel Speaks Out as well when you've completed it. Okay.
It is complete. It's done.
Oh.
It's all done.
Oh, it would be good to see it then. If you send me a picture.
It's on your email now. You've got it.
Okay, cool. I'll find that. Yeah. It's just I've been without broadband. Well, I've got a mobile router here, so. Okay, and let's just come to Stephen to end the call. He's wearing his tinfoil hat.
Yeah, Rachel. John reminded me of it. I made this especially for the rally in London, which was the first one that you attended. So I wore it all through the rally.
Cool.
And we've all been called it, I'm sure. So I wanted to own it, you know, and it's almost like a badge of honor now.
Mm.
So, you know, you've heard the old joke, what's the difference between a conspiracy theory and conspiracy fact? It's 6 to 12 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just a few things. You might remember we spoke a few months ago on one of your earlier calls. I was the firefighter that had to walk away from his job.
Oh, yes.
Because I refused to wear a face mask.
Right.
Yeah, so I walked away. I was 3 years short of getting a full pension, and I lost a lot of money. But it was really worth it. It was probably one of the best moves I've ever made.
Yes.
All the fear's gone, and I've become a right little activist. I've got a lot of free time now to do that, and I'd just like to encourage more people to be a bit more bold.
Yes.
We used to go out and say I'm exempt from wearing a face mask. No, I just say I don't wear face masks.
Yes.
I'm getting even bolder. I will remove any of the mainstream narrative literature. If I see posters there, I will take them down. I do it on the tube train. Now, I'm not saying everybody should do this. You know, I don't want to encourage anybody to get into trouble, but I've just lost all the fear now.
Well done.
I've really lost it. One thing I would like to mention, and I'd like to try and encourage people to do this, we all get together on a roundabout on Friday afternoons or Friday early evenings in the centre of Stockport, and we wave our banners, we play our music, and the public honk the horns really loud. They're about 99% behind us. It's amazing. We've had a few visits off the police, and they've said, "Aren't you really peaceful?" And we say, "Yeah, of course, we're not going to cause any trouble." And it was a bit like, we're hoping maybe to get a bit like a stand in the park. We call ourselves Rebels on Roundabouts.
Yeah, cool. Rebels on a Roundabout.
Yeah,
wonderful.
We've got a Telegram channel for it. If people could do the same, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, please share the link to the Telegram channel. And I love the way that you've gone from firefighter to fear fighter. Stephen, yeah, that's wonderful to hear from you, because I do remember you on one of the earliest calls, weren't you? So that's wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'm just conscious of time, because I really do have to close the call, and so I'm just going to come back to the screens and just give us a wave goodbye. Thank you all so much for coming on. It's great to see you, so many familiar faces as well as the new faces. Hi to Angela there as well. And yeah, so the next session will be in a fortnight's time, Mondays 12 noon UK time. It's always good to see you, and I just know that the recordings of these calls, they just get so much positive feedback, so you really are helping keep positivity, optimism and hope for so many people. So thank you all so much for showing up. Lots of love. Bye for now. Bye-bye.